let's go on to some history about the internet. And I don't know how many of you were like have seen this kind of websites or not, but when I was like very very young, like in the like 2004, fives and six, so my dad used to surf the internet all the time, and we used to come across websites like these. So this is MSN, which was by Microsoft at that time, and as you can see that the website is very basic, so it's very clunky. There's like there's only one font, like it has no auto sizing, like it does not adapt to the screen size and all. So the websites used to be like these. This is the like the old internet. Moving on. So this is a website which is a modern website, which was it is of an agri-tech genetics company in the US, and they have this website. So as you can see that these websites have a lot of animation. They are much pleasant to look at. Like a lot of work goes into designing these things, and so this gives you an idea of how much the field of web development has revolutionized over the past 20 years, and we are going to look at that. But what is the internet? So we are trying to do web development. So we'll be building websites, and websites live on the internet. But what is the internet in general? The internet or net is the largest computer network in the world. So a computer network is a network or a connection between two or more computers, and the term internet refers to the largest of such connections. So it connects billions of computers around the world, and the term internet comes from interconnection and network. So this is a network of computers which basically shares resources like hardware, software, data, information. This is all internet is about. And there's a big debate that who owns the internet, but generally nobody owns the internet. Internet is something that nobody owns. And it's mostly just wires. So a lot of people have this thing that okay, internet is something wireless, so it's you know there's like all this like wireless transmission going 3G, 5G, 4G, whatever, satellite internet and all that. But internet is a very physical thing. It's a collection of big underwater cables, and all the content you watch on YouTube or something, all of that travels through these wires essentially. So it's a very basic thing. It's not something super advanced like a satellite in space or something. It's just wires under the sea. Now these wires are maintained by different companies, and like those companies charge. They are called ISPs or internet service providers, and they charge for these availing the wire services. In India, the biggest ISP we have is Tata. All right. Uh, Also, like I know that Abhirup says that you can't just open your mic and say something in the middle of when I'm speaking, but I would actually encourage that. Just don't say anything random. But if you have something to share, if you have your thoughts, if you want to ask something, just turn on your mic and like ask. All right. So why learn web development? Because there are a lot of types of development. There's like Android and there's machine learning, AI, the more like buzzwords like Web3. Like why shouldn't you go directly into blockchain, and why should you first understand traditional web development? Well, there are some reasons, and the first is reach. So around 12.5 billion devices are enabled on the web. This includes your personal computers or PCs and also your mobile phones. So most of your mobile phones also interact with the website on the like backend layer. We will come to that, but it's a huge market. So 12.5 billion devices. That's why web is important. It's visual, so it's easier to market if you have a nice product, like Facebook, like Instagram. Hello, hello.
You are audible.
Like did I cut like did the audio cut off or something?
Uh, yes, for a time.
So till how much was audible?
It
and
was
the
audible
people.
till 12.5 billion web-enabled devices.
All
Yeah,
right.
till that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 12.5 web-enabled devices also includes your mobile phones and your laptops and personal computers and everything. So it's also a visual medium, which means that people can see and interact with the internet. And it's easy to market if the people can see it, like something like an Instagram or a Facebook or a Snapchat. People can interact with it, people can see the UI, they can click on buttons and everything. That's why it's appealing. The social nature of web, because internet brings the world closer. We could never imagine talking to somebody in the US just with a click of a button, but right now it's like daily. Like it's not even that amazing. Like it would be amazing if we could call somebody on Mars. That's the level we are on. Also, it's fun. Personal opinion. It pays very well. Well, debatable, but yes, it actually pays very well if you can do it like on a substantially uh, advanced level. And this is kind of my favorite, that you can market your own idea. So if you have this crazy next idea about building a website or building an app, you don't need to find a technical web developer or somebody to like assist you in bringing that product to life. You can do it yourself if you are a good web developer. And the last one, it's important to do as well, because let me tell you, all the bank transactions, everything runs on the internet. Like all your bank transactions, all your communications, like even like communication between like government agencies, everything happens on the internet. It's safe to say that all communication in the modern world is handled through internet. So when the internet goes down, all communications will go down. That's why it is very important to maintain the internet. How it works though. So on a very basic level, like these are your clients. Clients are something like your mobile phone, your laptop, or your PC. All of these interact with this abstract thing known as the internet, and that essentially interacts with something known as a server, which is also another computer, but it has a specific purpose. We'll get to that. So that is how the internet works on a very basic level. So there are clients, they connect to this abstract thing known as the internet, and there's a server which is also connected to this abstract thing known as the internet, and like the client can interact with the server through this abstract thing known as the internet. All right. Now this is a more detailed view. So I won't explain everything here because it's going to be a like a big time intensive process. But let's go through some basic things. So this is you here, your laptop, and whenever you access the internet, it passes through these many steps. So it comes to your ISP first. Your ISP does the work of essentially validating your. I'm using terms like request, but whatever data you want to get out of the internet, that is known as your request, right? So if you want to watch a YouTube video, the YouTube video is your request. So first of all, it reaches a modem. Modem, it's an electronic device. No need to understand what it does as of yet. Then it comes to the router. So what the router does is it's like you have ever seen like train interchange junctions where like the gate essentially switches tracks. So the router is like that. Whenever a request packet comes, the router decides whether to send it, like which path to send it on through the internet, and then the router sends that through the path. Then it goes to your internet, then some stuff happen, and ultimately like your request is obtained by your web server, so where you intend to send that request. So this is the YouTube headquarters in California, suppose. So you wanted a YouTube video, you asked for that video, and somehow the router sends that information to YouTube's California server, right? And after that, what happens is that the server will respond with the corresponding video, and that corresponding video will come into small packets, and it will reach back to you. This is all the internet is doing essentially. If you break every operation, it's just these three things. You send a request, it goes through the internet, it reaches some server, the server does some processing, gives you back some data, and that data again comes back to you through some path. That's essentially all the internet does. All right. Anybody has any questions, or like it's all great, or like am I not audible clearly? Is that what I'm audible, right? Aviru, um,
Yes, yes, you are.
all right, I'm audible. Okay, so great.
Excuse me. Arjo was asking, could you please explain that again?
Explain what?
Yes, please mention what he should explain once more.
If you can turn on your mic and speak, the
He's
process.
saying the process.
Okay, like how does the request and everything happen, right? Yeah. So, okay. So this is you. This is you, and you want something out of the internet. Suppose a YouTube video or your or your Instagram feed, something like that. So you make a request into the internet. You essentially don't interact. You don't know where this server is. You don't have the information. What you know is a link or a URL or like something like www dot like www dot google.com or something, google.com. So this is your URL. So you just know this. Now somehow, and I won't say exactly how, because again, so you have to know a bit of abstractions before you get deeper, because if I want to explain each and every component in detail, then that would essentially be an entire networking. So I won't do that. So what I will do is I'll tell you that somehow like this string of letters is mapped to a physical device on the internet, and that's your website server. So this mapping happens on the DNS. DNS does that. How it does, not important, but it does. So when you send a request, you just have a URL. You send that URL. You send that. You say that okay, fetch me this video with a particular URL, and that request goes to your router. Router decides where this web server could be located on the internet. So it essentially assigns, okay, this is the destination, this source is coming, and this is the destination, and then it will send your request to the internet. Now, an internet is basically like roads. So your packets will, your request will travel from through roads, and essentially it will reach to this server. Now the server will see, okay, this person with this source has requested this particular video, and then the server will do some processing. It will send you back the video, and that video will again come back to you through the path. It may be the same path, it may not be the same path. The path is not important. How the path is found out, that is not important. But just understand that the internet is this abstract thing where you send in requests. You just send, like it's like an oracle. So you tell it what you want, and you don't even need to tell it where it is, but it will find it, given you have provided the correct URL. So it will find it and give it back to you. Does that make it clear, Arjo?
Okay, just to clarify, don't just open the mics randomly. We'll give you breaks after every 10 or 15 minutes to solve all the doubts. You guys then can open your mics and ask your doubts. That would
Right.
make it much more interactive, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good.
Now, what are the components of a web page, website, or a web application? Right. So there are essentially three important components. One is just source files. The first one is just source files. What are the source files? The code or the files which define the structure and functioning of your website. These define the structure and the functioning of a website. Simple. Now, what are these files? It's essentially HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and images and videos. Forget this as of now. Just forget this. Source files are the code and files which define the structure and functioning of your website. How your website should look and feel, how it should interact with you. All of that is defined by these source files. Right? The second is a web server. Now the web server is like in the previous slide I showed you this web server, this thing, like this thing. So what is this thing? It is a computer specifically programmed to send the source files whenever a request is made. So whenever, as I said, if you request YouTube, uh, like the web server of YouTube will give you all the code, all the files required to make the YouTube UI. So it will give you all. So that will essentially be rendered by your browser. Okay. And the third component is the most important component is your web browser. A web browser is a program which can display the output of the source file. So these source files are essentially code. So like I am assuming that a lot of you have some programming background. So in like C or even Java. So this is the source files are your code, right? So this is the .java file or the .c file. When you have compiled that, right, and when you run that, the output you see, so the program which forms at the end in Java, it is inside the JVM, but in C or in C++, you can directly form an executable. So that executable, the program, is what your web browser uses, right? It displays the output of your source files. Source files are the code, and the web server, it is a computer program specifically to send the source files whenever a request is made. Okay. Now this request has to obey certain criterias, and as we move on to in like day 3, when we cover web server architectures, and day 4 we will essentially I think it's day 4 and day 5, right, Aviru?
It's on day 4, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry. So day 4 and day 5 we cover most of the like web server architecture and things. So we will see that when, why is, what is a request, and how it is defined and everything. So right now, just understand these 3 things: that there are source files which define the structure and functioning of a website. There are web servers which send the source file whenever a request is made, right? And then there are web browsers which display the output of the source files. Great. Now, important question: front end versus back end. Now, what is the front end and what is the back end? Okay. Before moving on, like anybody has any doubts, just say.
You guys can open your mic and speak up.
Yeah.
Anyone?
No doubts as of yet. I mean, don't feel shy. Like it's completely fine to have doubts. I think. Like it's weird if you don't have doubts. So what I should do? Should I like pick somebody out of the crowd and just ask them a random question, or would
Yeah,
you?
that will be great.
All right. I mean, that makes it more of a class. So that's what I don't want to do. So if you have
Exactly. Feel free
anything,
to ask any kind of question related to this.
yeah. All right. Okay, moving on. So front end versus back end. So let me simplify this. Front end is whatever you can see. That's front end, right? Your what users see and interact with. This is your front end. That's about it. That's the definition. Like whatever you can see, you can interact with. It might be on your smartphone. It might be on your PC. It might be on your tablet. It might be anywhere, even on a kiosk, right? Anything you can see and interact with is your front end. Simple. Now that front end will essentially send some request over the internet to some web server. We saw the web service in the previous slide. So it will send some request to the web server. Now, whatever the processing that happens behind the scenes, this entire thing, right? Whatever the processing which happens behind the scene. For example, when you open Instagram, your feed loads, right? Have you seen that small, like that loading icon which rotates till the screen, like your feed is loaded? What's happening is that your front end is requesting a backend to send the feed, and the backend will send the feed, and then your front end will display that feed. So meanwhile, the loading happens. So when this request is made, whatever processing that happens inside this web server, it all comes under backend. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but it is very important. It is the core logic of your application, right? It is the main logic of your application. Now, also that backend is only one, right? For example, Facebook, right? So Facebook, you can have your Facebook app. You can open Facebook from a web browser, like you can open Facebook from your tablet. You can even nowadays open Facebook from some smartwatches, so you can check the feed and everything. So all of those are different front ends. The front ends of each of those are different, because what works on a smartphone will not work on a laptop. Like, I'm talking about the visual, like the thing, right? But all of that is interacting with the same backend. The backend is not different. Same goes with Instagram. Same goes with like any other thing like Book My Show or any other big company application we talk about, even Amazon. So the backend is one, but the clients or the front ends can be many. There can be a mobile front end, there can be a web front end, there can be a tablet front end, there can be a smartwatch front end, there can be even like kiosk front ends. So front ends can be many, but backend is only one. All right. Okay, so HTML and CSS. I think I'll skip the slide because it's coming like right after me. So I'll just skip the slide. Okay, and just to give you a basic idea, right? So HTML is what defines, like it's the structure of what you're building. So if you imagine that you're building a car, the chassis of your car, the wheels, the physical like things which make up your car, that's your HTML. Like the metal, the bare metal, that's your HTML. So it's the actual content of the page. What's the CSS? CSS is just like how well it looks. Your colors, do you have alloy wheels or normal wheels? Do you have tinted headlights or normal headlights and stuff like that? It is to give like a better visual appeal. That's CSS. And what's JavaScript is what drives or makes it function. So your brakes, your engine, all of that comes under JavaScript. So it essentially makes you how to control the car or how to function it, like how to like extract utility out of the car. Because a car without an engine or brakes is just like metal. So what would utility would it have? It would have no utility. Similarly, a web page that just has HTML and CSS, yes, it can display static information, sure, but it has no utility other than that. You can just see it. You cannot interact with it. Whenever you want to interact with a website, you have to incorporate JavaScript. Okay. Now technologies, like a basic overview. So essentially what you have to do like as a beginner web developer is pick up one out of all these four circles and learn it. So that's essentially the thing I suggest people. So for the front end, you can pick any one, so like Angular, React, Ember, Vue, but React is the most popular one. We are going with React in this bootcamp. So we will be using React. For databases, you can pick SQL databases like MongoDB, or you can pick up MySQL. What are NoSQL and SQL databases? No need to get into that, but like people essentially pick any one of these two. And this is also great, but this is not that much use as a friend. And then there are backend technologies. Backend technologies, you can use Laravel, which is a PHP framework. You can use Java. We can use Python. Don't use .NET. Just a suggestion, don't use that. You can alternatively you can use JavaScript or Node.js. So we are going with Node.js in our bootcamp, so we'll be using Node.js. And the most important thing right now is cloud. So because you see, it's a new capitalist conspiracy. So the new capitalist conspiracy is okay, put everything on the cloud and then charge people for it. So essentially, back in the days, what you used to do was you have to rent a server out of some company like Linode or like HostGator or something. You have to set up your own you have to set up your own Nginx, like your own web server on the server on the machine you have rented. Stuff like that used to happen, but now all of that is simplified. So you don't have to think about a lot now. You have to just pick up any one of these cloud service providers and you can deploy your website in minutes, which you wouldn't have been able to do like 5 years ago. So that's the advantage, right? And that was the end of the slideshow for my side. So now, like, we'll have questions, and then I think Abhishek can take on from here. So, any questions, everybody?
Guys, do you have your mic enabled, right?
Nikit,
Everyone?
actually they can't turn on their mic because of some audio issue. Like some of them can turn on their mic, but half of them can't.
Audio
Okay, got it.
issue.
Then those who have enabled mic, then they can speak, right? And those who don't have that option, you can just communicate in the chat group.
Oh, yeah, I think it's just because only people who are hosts can turn on their mics. I think it's like that or something, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. So whatever you have, if you have questions, you can just type. I guess, like if it's difficult for you to turn on your microphones, we'll answer them over chat. That's fine as well. So does anybody have any questions, or like it's if you're trying to process everything? Okay. No questions? Okay, you do. Yeah. Okay. Begin with for developing the front end first. Yeah, traditionally we do that, but right now, as like, so let me tell you one thing about software engineering. So there's a very big principle in software engineering. Yes. So there is a big principle in software engineering which says that don't repeat yourself. It's known as the dry principle, right? So what we do is because we are lazy people. So every software engineer you'll find is essentially very lazy. So what they'll do is they'll try to find like things which other people have built and then build on top of that. That's true for all kinds of software engineering. It's not only true for web, it's true for even Android, even like iOS, like even normal and everything. So because it's at a level where a lot of people are building and a lot of people have built these basic building blocks, nowadays it's just very easy to put these building blocks together and make a very complicated website in substantially less time than it used to take. So even though we start with building HTML and CSS, nowadays we use something like a framework, a front-end framework like React. So we don't have to write native HTML and CSS code. We just use that framework, and that in turn compiles down to native HTML and CSS. So that's the thing about abstraction. So you write something on the very high level, and it automatically gets compiled into something which is very low level and easy for the computer to understand. That's what happens. All right. Any other doubts?
Okay, Monami, just to clear your doubt, JavaScript is just a language, just like C or C++. It's going to be used for both front end and back end, not only for back end. All right.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
React uses JavaScript. Angular also uses JavaScript. And the backend that we are going to build using Node and Express, that's also going to use JavaScript. So this one language can serve both the
Front end and
purposes.
back end. Yeah.
And that's why it's very popular. Same as Python.
Actually, like there's a big like debate about what's the better language. So JavaScript is essentially the top language of the world. So if you go to like the Stack Overflows, so they do a survey every year which asks developers that okay, which language do you use, and JavaScript always remains on the top. So what about HTML and CSS? So that's what I'm saying. So it's like how do I say? It's like when you're writing a novel, right? You don't learn the alphabets. Yeah, so let me explain. So first of all, you learn language, right? You learn the basics. How do words form? How do consonants and everything? How do vowels behave and everything? You learn how to form words, and then you can write novels. So when you're writing a novel, you don't essentially think in terms of letters. You think in terms of words, because words are an abstraction over letters. Similarly, when we are actually building websites for the real world, for real companies, we don't think in terms of HTML and CSS, but it's important to know that. right? It's important to know how it works on the very low level. They are so what is HTML CSS? Abhishek will cover that right now, so that will clear a doubt. But again, let me re-emphasize that we will not be building websites with native HTML and CSS when we move to an advanced level of web development. We will be using a framework. All right. Devoshi, so say that I'm using Java at the moment, so React is a framework for JS. Should I look for frameworks for Java or Learn.js? So for front end web development, like Java isn't very. Of course, there are cross platform compatible frameworks, but it's not very recommended to use Java for front end because the browser was essentially built for JavaScript, right? So all your modern web browsers, there's only one language which your browser understands, and that's JavaScript. So if you write code in native JavaScript, your browser will understand that very much easily than say you write code for React and then it again gets translated to JavaScript. Right? So for learning a front end development web framework, you should learn JavaScript. Also, it's like JavaScript is fairly easy. Like if you know Java, JavaScript is like very like it's easy to get by.
Also, Deboshi, for backend technologies, I guess Java with Spring Boot is really famous.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about Java for the backend, it's
Yeah.
really
So
good.
Java on the backend is very powerful. So
Yeah, it's
any
actually
JVM
very
based
powerful
language
for
on the backend is
microservices.
very yeah.
So you should definitely learn that. But on the side, you should also learn JavaScript because that's what Protha said. That's what the web browsers use.
Yeah.
Is
So
that
the web
okay?
browser only understands JavaScript. It does not understand any other language. So it's important to learn JavaScript for web development essentially. That's a important prerequisite. Okay, and any other questions, or should I give it to Abhishek now, so he can continue with the latter half?
Okay, guys, this is the last chance. You can ask your doubts here. Okay. Yeah, it's absolutely safe. C is dead.
Okay, let's not say it is dead, but
It's already dead, bro.
see,
C
you have
plus
to
plus.
pass a college exam, so you need to learn C to some
Yeah.
extent. But
That's it. Till that's
yeah,
so till second year you need to learn C and or C plus plus. It doesn't really matter, and then you can shift to Java. Java is pretty good
yeah,
actually.
Java is like really powerful. So Java is great. All right. Now moving on, I think like anybody other than Munami and the Devoshi and Arjo have any questions, please like type in the chat box, or we will continue with WebTech. Okay, it is there technically in your college syllabus. It's there in the seventh semester, but if you start learning it in seventh semester, I don't know. Like it's your choice. So this is a club for enthusiasts, right? So we are not putting like chains on you and say okay you have to be a web developer, not like that. So if you're interested, it's an opportunity for you to learn. If you think that you can learn it later or like with the college, then that's completely up to you. That's fine, but it is there actually. It's in the seventh semester. I won't comment on the quality though, because well, it's a college, but you can make sure of that. All right, moving on then. Abhishek, would you please
Yeah, am I
take
audible?
over? Yep, you are audible.
Yeah. So hello everyone. My name is Abhishek. I will be proceeding with the HTML and CSS part. So let me share my screen. Hold on. So yeah, as Prutta has already talked about the internet and how basically a website works and all of that stuff. So I will continue from there. So, what will happen and what basically happens when you search on your web application? Like, if I want to search YouTube, www.youtube.com. So, what basically happens is the internet connects the client computer, as Protha has already said about it, to these like DNS servers, right? So this DNS server sends the files and the data, which are like important for the website to get rendered to your web application. So this DNS server sends the files such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, these different files, and some included data, which is really important for the files to get rendered in your web application. So you could be using web applications such as Chrome, Firefox, Safari. It could be a Brave too, like these applications. And these applications basically, what they does takes these different files and they renders into a website. So these HTML, CSS, and JavaScript becomes a building blocks of a website then. So I will be talking about the HTML and CSS part, focus more on this, and the JavaScript part will be taken care of by our none other than Nikit. Nikit will take care of it, as I am aware. So HTML basically stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So it's a markup language. So hypertext refers to a piece of text which can link to other document in a website. So this text could be like random text and it could redirect your website to another web page, right? So like it basically builds up a foundation of an HTML website. So if you can like let me show you our like the world's first website. Bro, where it is. So it basically comprises of this HTML stuff. So it doesn't have any CSS or JavaScript part. So there are these hyperlinks or hypertext which is used to basically redirect it to other document. So this is how basically our first world's first website looks, and it was basically built on HTML, and no other stuff was added. And we get back to the PPT. Yes. So if I talk about the markup language, basically it refers to like formatting and structuring part. So HTML basically gives a skeleton to the web page where you can add content to it, and it can be organized in such a way that it will look prettier when we add the CSS and JavaScript part, and it really makes a website interactive and helps to gain more attention or something. And I will be also talking about the HTML tags. There are like many HTML tags. It's not possible for a developer to eventually get all the HTML tags or to like remember all the HTML tags, but it's important to explore each one of them, because like you will never know what you will use in your next project, right? So I have filtered few of the HTML tags that I think are important and you will use most of it in your daily basis. So uh, I think everyone has a VS Code, right? Yeah, great. So let's not waste time and uh, first our first HTML uh, like web page. Then you will get a clear view of what we are talking about, and it will be really great. Hold on a sec. So let me get to CSS. Mm, let me make a folder first of name demo 101 and open it in our VS. And create our first HTML file. I give it a name index.html. And now let's add the boilerplate. So what basically is a boilerplate? It contains HTML tags, different HTML tags. I will be talking about each one of them. Don't worry. So there is a HTML tag, a doc type tag, and a head tag. And inside the head tag, there is a title tag. And after head tag, we add a body tag. And this is the basic boilerplate, or you can say a basic structure of HTML. So first, a doc type. So basically, this not tagged. This basically sends the web application that what type of document type has been rendered on. So basically, this is a HTML doc type. So the doc type has been initiated to HTML. Then HTML tag has started. So from here, the HTML the code has been started, and in head tag there is a title tag. So if I give a title, like for example, a personal website, and save it and run it, see what happens. So it is running on 5500 port. As you can see, the title has been added. So here you can see the personal website, the title has been added. So now this is all about the head tag, and in the body tag we add all the contents like heading. It could be a image, it could be a paragraph, it could be some other hyperlinks or hypertext anchor tags. All of this stuff is added in the body. I will be also talking about how to add CSS to your HTML and stuff. Also the JavaScript, how to add your JavaScript. So in the further like sessions, don't worry. So let's understand our first tag, that is the head tag or heading tag. Sorry. So heading tag, basically there are 6 heading tags. So there is a H1 tag. There are 6 tags, right? So H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. If I copy and paste in all of these, so these head tags basically differs in their font size. So the each one has the highest font size, and following with H2, H3, and H6. Accordingly, they are a small font size as compared to H1. So if I save it, you will get to know what I'm talking about. So each one has the highest font size, and after that H2, H3, and H6. So this basically doesn't matter when you are using a CSS, because you can just like select use a CSS selector to select the H1 and eventually change the or manipulate the H1 front size. So basically it doesn't even matter when you are using CSS afterwards. And this is the first heading tag I've talked about. Then let's talk about the paragraph tag. So paragraph tag is used while like adding up the bio and stuff. So it's important when, like, if I will be building a personal website and I need to add up a bio, then I will be using this paragraph tag. So this is a paragraph. So this about the paragraph tag. And for example, if I need to save this a paragraph in next line, so I can use the br tag to eventually break the line. Br tag, so eventually it will shift this in the next line. Then I can talk about the anchor tag. So anchor tag is used. So anchor tag has this attribute called href. So href contains the URL of the location of the resources that we need to get redirected to. So anchor tag basically works like this. Like for example, I need to redirect it to YouTube, right? HTTP for www.youtube.com. right? And I give a text like YouTube. Yeah, just save it. And if someone clicks in this text, it will get redirected to this YouTube page. So this is how anchor tag basically works. I hope you are getting like how I am explaining to you. If you have any doubt or something, just you can. What anchor tag is used to add hyperlinks? Am I right? Yes, it is used to add hyperlinks. So yes. So I have added a YouTube this thing, so it acts as a hypertext. So if anybody like select this text or like clicks this text, so it will get redirected to the YouTube web page. So this is how basically our anchor tag works. So this is about the anchor tag. Now if I talk about like
Okay, just a minute, Abhishek.
Mhm.
Uh, Devoshi, there are two kinds of tags in HTML basically.
Mhm.
One are that have two tags. One is the opening tag and the closing tag. That's basically the head or body, H1, P, A, something, everything like those. But there are some special tags which does not require any closing tag. A single opening tag is enough to serve the purpose. So BR tag is one amongst them, and I'll share with you the list of all the tags so you guys can match it up and just try yourselves. All right?
Yeah, you can also use these MND website to eventually go through these HTML
Yeah,
tags.
Mozilla development tools are the
Network,
best, actually.
MDN, MDN.
MDN, sorry. So here you will basically get all the HTML tags, and you can go through like each tag and eventually work with it. So this is about the anchor tag. Like I was talking about the image tag. So like if I want to add an image in my like web page, so I can use the image tag. So it has two attributes, the source and the alt. The source basically contains the like the resource of the image. Like for example, if I just go to Google and search for the flower image, this one looks good, and copy link from here and just save it. No, wait, I think I've copied the wrong one. Let me try with the different thing. As you can see, the image has been like added to our web page. So you can also edit this image by changing its height, width and stuff, which we'll cover in the CSS part. And yeah, so this is all about the image tag. And next is the list. So there are two type of list in HTML. One is ordered list and second is unordered list. So if I talk about the ordered list, the tag is OL and it gets nested to LI, so list item. To add a list item, for example, milk, and again another list item, for example, rice. Other, for example, it. Let's save it. You will see there is a list which is a ordered one because there is a numbering 1 2 3. So there is also another type of list that is called unordered list, which is UL. Same, it gets like takes the elements as nested ones, and just copy paste up here and show you how it basically works. So it gives a dot thing, and it is unordered because it doesn't show any numbering and stuff. So this about the list tags. So there are two type of list tags, ordered and unordered. So next is I will be talking about link. So link tag is basically important because it defines the relationship between the current document to the external resource. Like for example, if you want to add the style sheet, right? So if you want to add the CSS to your HTML, so you can use this link tag to basically link your CSS to your HTML. So it has two attributes, rel and href. So Rail has these basically defines the relationship uh, with the like current web page to the referring or rendering web page, redirecting web page, and ref basically contains the URL. We have talked about href in anchor tag also, where it contains the URL of the resource. So for example, if I create a CSS file, let me create a CSS file, design.css. And I need to like add this CSS to HTML. So what I can do, I can just add in the href, just save it, and now the CSS has been added to our HTML. But this link couldn't be up here, it needs to be added in the head tag. Now it's fine. Yeah. So in the same way we can add our JS also to our HTML. So to do that we use the script tag, and in the script tag we use source to like add the JS, add a JS file too. Now the JS file has also been added to our HTML. So this way you can basically add your CSS and JS file to your HTML, and this is all about the script tag and the link tag. So next let's move on to the form tag. So if I want to create a form in our web page, so how will we create it? So basically form tag has this attribute called action. So this action basically like contains the information like where you want to send the data of the form to. Like for now I will just keep it as hashtag, and form has these it's called label. So if I want to take names, I will add name. I need the user to input the name, so I will use the tag called input. So it could be a text, so I will leave it at text. So attribute type, it's like let it be as text. So next level is for like for example if I want the email, and input also as email. So no, I need to change the type as email. I need to add a button, so I will use a button tag to add a button of type submit. And if I save it, it will basically give me a form like here. Let me move this thing. Yeah.
Abhishek, you can comment out the image tag. It's taking up a lot of space.
So yeah, so this is what form HTML. So this is how we can add a form. So you can also add different fields, like for example you can add a text area where people can like add reviews and stuff. So you can do that. Next, let's talk about the table stuff. So how can we add a table? So in table we have this tag called table rows, and in table row we have this table head. In table head, like for example we are making a table for month and savings, and another table head, and we will write savings. And we'll create another table row, and in that table row we will get a table definition, and to January, Jan, and the table definition to $1,000, for example. This is how a table looks. You can add another, like multiple table heads and table rows depending on you. So this is basically all the tags, basic tags, I think you will basically need to kickstart your web dev journey. Next, I will be starting a project which will basically describe more of CSS and more of HTML. So let's start.
Just a minute, Abhishek. Any of you guys have any doubts? You guys can throw them now. Okay, great. Anyone more? Okay. Seems like there is no doubt. Also, let me just, Abhishek, if you just show me the code once.
Hmm.
Okay, great.
All right.
So I'll just move to the top. Okay, so how many guys did get what's the difference between the head tag at the top and the H1, H2, H3 at the bottom? Did you guys get it? What's the head tag for?
No, not size. He's not talking about that head tag. So H1 tag, and he's talking about this head tag, this one.
Okay, so seems like you guys didn't get it. So basically, head is like the green the emitter. It's we are commenting the code. So it's like it's there. The code is there, but it will not be rendered. It's just like comments we write for our notes, right? When we used to take notes for our exams, we used to have this different colored pens.
Hello.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, you are audible.
So the head tag, what it does is, it's basically metadata about the website. It contains data about the data. Containing data. Yeah, that's true. Data about the website. It may contain something like where it should be ranked on the web page. We'll probably learn it later. The SEOs of these websites. These all are included in the head tag, and we'll probably brush on it the next time.
Important point to note is that whatever is inside the head tag is not displayed on your browser screen. Okay.
Yep,
It,
exactly.
it contains the information about the website. It can be like the title, like it is displayed on the tab above or on your like on the search bar. It contains like all the style sheets. It contains like all your font imports. It like later on we will see as it grows, like as we grow, like when we add like actual boilerplate, we will see that it contains also the like the browser width and height uh, like things or the compatibility stuff like that. So it is data about the website, not the website itself. So website, whatever you see on the screen, whatever you can interact with, like all the fonts, text, buttons, everything. All that is inside the body. All right, and the head tag is information about like the website. Hope that makes clear.
Okay, if it's all right, Abhishek, you can move on.
Yeah, so let's make a website, for example, so you will get a much better perspective of what we are basically talking about. So let me erase all of this and let's create a personal portfolio website or something. Yeah. So we have already added our CSS and JS to our HTML. So like let's start by creating a div. So what is basically a div? So div basically makes a section in your body. So you can add or like use this section later on. So it will be more useful in the CSS part when we will be basically adding CSS to our website. So it will help to basically target or just select this div and implement the designs and other properties of the CSS to just implement on this div, like on this section. So I will be also like showing you how to do that and stuff. So let's create a div first. So div dot I will also give a class, for example let it be a home class. So it creates a div with the attribute of class and to home. Let's add each one to Abhishek. Let's save it. And after this I need a image. So I will again create a div plus img and I will add an image using image tag. And let me select the image first. Hold on. Let me create a folder of resource. And inside this folder, I can basically fill up with the resource and use this resource by like adding up to our HTML. So let me like select the image for the web page first. Let me take this image. Now I can like target this image. Let me rename it. And in the source part, I will just give the URL to it. So resource and image. Yeah. Done. Just look at the page, how it basically looks. So now it looks like this. I have to add a CSS and resize the image. We'll do it later. First add the components or the content of the web page first. So heading is done. Image is done. Like I need a bio. I need a bio for myself. Add another div for bio and a lorem. Yeah. Good. So this is also done. So we have added the heading, we have added the bio, we have added the image, uh, and I think now it's time to switch to CSS and understand how basically it will like affect the web page in terms of designing and stuff. So let's first add a selector. So we will use the CSS selector to like we will use the CSS selector for class. So we will use a dot dot to select home. Why home? Because we have given the name to this class as home. This one, this one, yeah. And we will use a property called color, like for example color, and we will give it a like color to red for now. Yeah, red. And as you can see, the red has been implemented to our div. First resize the image because it doesn't look good, so I will use these CSS selector. So dot imga, because I think I've given this class name as imga. Yes, imga. You know what, I will basically target the image only. Image, like I will give it a height to 200 pixels and width of 200 pixels. Yeah, save it, it will get resized. So I also need to add a border. Let's add a border. So these all are the properties of CSS. So it's not possible for me to talk about each and every property of CSS because it's a lot. You can just go to this website. It's a great website called W3 schools. Yeah, W3 schools for CSS. This one, it will basically give you a entire CSS like tutorial and stuff. No, yeah, this one. So it has all the properties and stuff for the CSS. You can just go and take a test of it. And I will add a radius for now. Let's get back to our website. Add a border radius. Let's add a border radius of how much? Like of 10 pixels. And I also need to, no. I need a border radius, right? I'll do it like this, 100%. So yeah, so it will eventually curve it to a circle. I need a border. I need a border of 5 pixels solid. I will change this color later on, don't worry about it. Or I can do it now only, like border color to something hashtag to one, and yeah, yeah, it looks good. So this all about the image stuff. Now let's focus on the alignment and stuff. So I need to basically move it to center. So if I go and align item to center, and also one thing, I need to also target this one, or else should I put it in a whole div? Yeah, so this is how you can add basically the properties, different properties of CSS. So I made a roadmap for CSS. Basically, you can follow it. So CSS can be added to your HTML by basically three means. First, the inline CSS. It could be added by internal and external. So inline basically means, like for example, if I need to change the heading, like in each one only, I will give a style tag, and I need to change the color. So I will select the color as property, and I need to change it to aqua. So, and if I say it changes the color to aqua. So this is how you can add CSS, inline CSS. So there is also internal CSS. You can add a style tag in the head, and you basically can use the CSS selectors. As I've stated, you can use the class. So to select the class, you can use dot. So dot, then, or just you can use the h1 for the tags, and just change the color to, like for example, black, and let me comment it out. So it will change to black. So this is the three ways you can add CSS to your HTML. Yeah. So I made this roadmap to learn CSS. So it includes the CSS selectors. So for IDs, we use the selector called hashtag. For class, we use this selector called dot, and for simple tags, we use the only the tag names. And there is also fonts and other formatting property. So if we want to use a font, like if I want to add a font up uh, in my HTML, right? So you can do it like this way. Just go to Google Fonts, just select the font you want to add. Like I want to add the Roboto, and you can use the like font weights, like it is black 900, so 700 italic. So it basically bolds the font much wider. So you can add anyone. So I will go with this. So I've already added some of the few front I basically use. Nunito, Poppins, Railways, Rubik. So these are the fronts I basically use. So copy this link from here, simply copy it and paste it in the head tag. Yeah, and it's done. The front has been added. How to implement it? Just go to CSS. So if I want to change the font of h1, so I want to change the font of h1 to font family. So I want to change it to Poppins. So I will copy this one, paste it. Yeah. If I go to the page, you will see the font has been added. So earlier it was looking like this, and now it basically looks like this after adding the font. So until now, do you have any questions or any queries? You can just ask. All good?
Abhishek, it would be good if you just show them the difference between class and IDs.
Yeah, sure.
Just one example, just to make it clear.
So I was creating a div and adding an attribute called class. So for example, if I create this div and add a ID, so ID needs to be unique. So if I give a ID called um, bio, And in CSS, if I go and select this ID, so how will I select this? I will use a hashtag and go as bio and use a property for like if I would need to use a font, like let me change the font of it. So I will use the font family. uh, I will use this railway. Let me change the font. Now if you see, the font has been added to this bio. So this is how you can like implement the like IDs and class. So ID needs to be unique, and like you can use the CSS selectors to like select the ID by using hashtag, and for class it's dot, and for simply a tag it's just the tag name. So this is the three way you can use the CSS selectors. So any questions, anything?
Abhishek, are you done with the presentation?
Yeah, kind of. I also like there is a lack of time, so I won't be able to like go along with the website, like creating whole website. So I will like suggest each and every one of you to try it at home and give a basic CSS and HTML and construct a portfolio website, so you can get a like overview of what and how you can implement a CSS and HTMLs and like work on it. So that's what I want to say.
Okay, we will share an assignment with you guys, so you guys can just work it out. Also, Shushmita, if we these files, they don't just come out with every font in the world. Like they have some preloaded fonts, but Poppins isn't one of them. So what we do, we just create a new link for the Google Fonts, and then we can just import that in our files. So our file knows that, okay, this link has been imported and this link specifies this font has been imported to our file system. So now we can basically use that font in anywhere in our project. Is that clear? Also, we can just download the font and create a new font files and just configure our web app to identify them. That's all. Okay, Abhishek, you can
So
take over.
Monambi, if you want a prototype, so let me show you my like prototype of my portfolio website. Let me get to GitHub. So for the basics, you can just try to learn from the YouTube and stuff and try to implement this stuff. So you can go to my GitHub and get the like codes and stuff for these prototypes. So I have added the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files up here. So this is the portfolio website, my personal portfolio website currently. You can download the CV and stuff. You can add different sections, so by using the div tags. So these are home section, this is the about me section, my service section, the skills, the project and goals. You can add the sliding tools. So I think I've used a WebKit up here, I didn't remember what kind of it. So yeah, you can also add a form and just implement a contact me section. And I think I have not developed a backend for it, so it eventually won't work. So yeah, so that was a prototype what you were asking for.
Well, Monami, it depends actually on whichever features you're working on. Like my portfolio website took around 1 month to design. It was made in React, and I was still learning it. But if you are familiar with React, once you're familiar with React, I guess it doesn't take more than 2 weeks.
So mine, I think it took a week. Yeah, took nearly a week.
Should I show you guys my website? Are you guys
Sure.
interested?
Yeah. I will stop sharing and you can just share.
Okay, great. Okay, is it guys visible? Oh, okay, great. I'll just go. Can you guys see it? Anyone can speak up.
Yes, we can see it.
Oh, okay, great. So this took me around a month to design. Uh, it has these sections. It was completely developed in React, so you guys can try it on your own when we are done with the React section of teaching you guys, of introducing you guys. That's all. And it's responsive, and that's all. You guys can design similar. First of all, you guys need to be familiar with React. Make some basic apps, which we are going to do. And before that, for the next session, we are going to design a to-do app. You guys may be familiar with it, using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And you guys are going to be introduced to JavaScript. So basically, till what you have seen today, it's basically a shell, a hollow shell. It doesn't do anything. It looks beautiful. It might scroll down a little bit. You might change colors. That's all. But that's all. There's nothing more you can do to these websites using HTML and CSS. We need to add JavaScript to add functionality to these websites. So basically, every day the websites you use, they use JavaScript to add functionality. Like clicking a button gets you to a new page, right? We all have been through there. Or there's a link that gets you to another page where you log in or register, something like that. So we are going to learn all of that, and we can't do that without learning JavaScript. So next session we're going to do that. And Protoy, over to you.
Yeah, so I guess that was like about it for our first day. So if any of you have any feedback or anything you want to share, anything you want to talk about, like even any problem you are facing regarding any other kind of development, because okay, we are doing a web development bootcamp, but ultimately help each other. So feel free to ask. We'll provide you with a with a starter assignment, which is essentially you have to build your own portfolio website and like deploy it on GitHub pages. And so like that's something you have to learn on your own, how to deploy a website. It's very easy to do. How many of you don't have your GitHub? Could you give me a show of hands? If you don't have a GitHub, please create a GitHub account. It's like very important. And when you have GitHub account, you can deploy your websites for free, at least the front end. And so that would be your assignment. So we'll provide you with a link on how to use GitHub pages and how to like deploy your websites through there. So before the start of the next session, I'm assuming that most of you will have been developed a very basic portfolio website. Like it can just contain your image and just a bio. That's also great. And it's up to you. Like feel free for you to design and be creative and everything. Apart from that, if you have any questions, this is the time to ask. All right. Any other person? No, that's great. Alapan, did you maintain a list of attendees?
Yes, we are recording all the attendees.
How are we able to see that local server web page using VS Code? Okay, so the one Abhishek was using, right? Yeah, so there is this, yeah, so there is this VS Code extension called a live runner. So what it does is like live server. So
Live
what it
server,
does
right?
is, yeah, live server. So what it does is essentially it creates a very small basic server on your device and uses that to render that, like your the source files on a local port, right? So it's called live server. Like you can just view your output with a click of a button. Earlier, what people like it was very difficult to do this. So people had to manually configure a small server like an Apache Tomcat or an Nginx on your local system and then do it. But right now, it's as I said, we are developers. We are lazy. We just use stuff which other people have built. So somebody built this live server thing, and now everybody uses this. So that's about it. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, I guess that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining, and it was probably we made you understand something. You learned something today,
Yeah.
and I hope you guys see in the next session. And it's going to be about JavaScript and how do we integrate JavaScript to HTML and CSS front end so that we can make it the website functional. Thank you all. Thank you the presenters. Thank you the hosts. Everyone.
Sure.
Thank you, seniors, for hosting this session.
Yep. And from the next session, we'd like a little bit of more interaction. Like
Yeah.
we'll fix the
Yeah, we'll fix
mic
the
issue.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Got it.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.